welcome.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to
Shut
Drafty
the fuck
Tunes.
up, Cory. Shut the fuck up, Cory.
This is my show, isn't it?
Nope. Was this movie animated? No.
No, I guess not.
Yeah, okay. Welcome back to DQP Does. This is our third installment in the Western series. Today we are going to be talking about Quick and the Dead.
Yeehaw!
Holy shit. Cory's wearing a fucking cowboy hat right now.
Listen, I'm the only one that came prepared to this show.
I don't even know what the fuck's happening anymore, Nathan. I'm sorry.
Welcome to a very unprofessional podcast.
Just in general.
Not professionally unprofessional.
Nope, just unprofessional.
Yeah. I miss Doug.
I'm sorry, buddy. So with me this evening, we have our normal cast: Nathan,
Yeah.
Russell,
Hello.
and myself. And then we have a not so special guest, Cory.
That hurts. Deep down. Hurts my non-soul.
Yeah, you ginger fuck. All right. No, he really enjoys this movie, so he wanted to be on this one. I didn't realize he was going to bring fucking cowboy hats.
I was like this close to wearing like my boots and like a fucking shirt and the whole nine. But
Yeah,
it's
he's not
way
wearing
too
a-
fucking hot.
He's topless right now.
Cowboy Cory coming out to play.
So there's like a ridiculous cast in this movie.
Yeah,
we're talking about the 1995 Quick and the Dead, by the way. There's a 1987 Quick and the Dead with Sam Elliott in it.
It's also a book.
Yeah, which I think there's actually an even earlier Quick and the Dead.
Yep.
That's a film still.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
It
Yeah.
was 1965, and it's a army war movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
It's also a racing movie.
Yeah, there
What
was that
the
one
fuck?
too.
So anyway, this is the Western with Gene Hackman and Sharon Stone in it.
Or titles don't matter and roles are made up.
That's a different podcast.
Oh, my bad.
It also has Russell Crowe, Leonardo DiCaprio, who is very young in this movie.
Super young.
Tobin Bell, who you might remember from Saw. Let's see.
Do you want to play a game?
Not right now.
Okay.
Keith David.
Scenes from a hat.
Still a different podcast. Lance Henriksen, Pat Hingle, which is like he's a character actor that's in tons of like old westerns. He always plays like a bartender.
Was he the
He was
Bat
the bartender. Yeah, he was
Okay.
Horace.
I remember him from the Batman movies.
Oh yeah, he was Commissioner Gordon in the
Yep.
old Batman shit.
That's why he looks familiar.
Gary Sinise plays a small role in this. In the flashbacks, he is Sharon Stone's father, who is Marshall. Mark Boone Jr. I don't really remember him from much before Sons of Anarchy. He played Scars in this, which is a particularly
He was
heinous
the,
character.
the prison break guy.
Yeah.
Right?
And then Scott Spiegel, I believe, is the probably the worst character in this movie. Maybe? No, that's not him. Damn it. The fuck is that guy's name?
The guy that played Eugene.
Oh yeah, his name was Eugene. Holy shit. Bruce Campbell was in a deleted scene in this, but we did not have the DVD. We watched a rented stream.
No skips.
Sven Thorson was in this, sort of. I don't know. I like him in what I've seen him in.
Yeah. So while we're talking about the cast, Cory had an interesting fact before we got the movie started with
Sharon Stone?
the Sam Raimi. The script and it getting fast tracked.
Oh, yeah. Originally, it was written by I forget his name. Simon Moore. Screenplay was written by Simon Moore. Includes contributions from Joss Whedon. Is that how you say his name? Joss?
Yeah.
Jaws?
Jaws.
Yeah. Apparently he wrote on it too. But according to this thing on Wikipedia, it was saying that Sony bought the script from Mr. Moore, and then they hired on Sharon Stone as both star and co-producer. And then it was pretty much fast-tracked through development after Sam Raimi was hired.
So this movie comes hot off of the heels of Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness and Darkman movies hitting theaters. Darkman came out in 1990. Army of Darkness came out in 1992. So, and then Sam Raimi was executive producer and writer on a lot of the Hercules stuff.
Yeah.
With Kevin Sorbo in the 90s. So I thought that was interesting because with the rest of the cast, we were also talking about
Right.
a lot of these stars are coming off of some of their biggest movies in the early 90s, in between 90 and 94.
Right.
Sharon Stone doing Basic Instinct. Gary Sinise was in 94, Forrest Gump, Lieutenant Dan, that was one of his bigger roles. Russell Crowe had just done Romper Stomper. Gene Hackman was already a huge star. Leonardo DiCaprio just did What's Eating Gilbert Grape in 93.
Yeah.
When did Titanic come out?
98, 99.
Okay, so it was after.
Yeah, it was
this.
later.
Yeah. Lance Henriksen, was already a pretty big star, but this was around the time of he was wrapping up his Aliens run.
Oh, yeah,
Aliens 3 had just hit. So I thought that was interesting because this is like a huge fucking cast.
Yeah, it is.
So not only is it it's a huge cast to us, but it literally was also a
enormous
huge
cast at the
for
time.
the
At the
time,
time.
Yeah, it's dwindled down a little bit just because Hollywood cycles through people so fast. But like these people are still big stars, but they were huge at the time.
When did Gladiator come out?
It was after this.
Yeah, it was also after.
Yeah, because that's another big
Right.
movie I associate with him.
His biggest movie at this point was prior to he's actually the smaller actor
Oh,
out of everyone in this cast that we just named. Because Romper Stomper was 92, and that was basically, so it was like an earlier American History X. So it handles a lot of racism and like skinheads and a lot of those issues from the 90s that were, they're still issues, but they were very prominent. So he plays a skinhead in the movie.
Yeah.
Romper Stomper, and so it was a pretty big deal when it came out because they were like shining light on something that was kind of hidden but still an issue in America.
Sure.
So that was his biggest role up until this movie.
Yeah, so the cast was excellent. I really enjoyed Gene Hackman in this movie. It was kind of similar to his role in Unforgiven, which we talked about.
Yeah.
At the time. Sorry, Nathan.
Such a gross movie.
Very similar. Just the character is basically the same.
Yeah,
honestly,
only it was better
Yeah.
in this.
Yeah, it was better in this.
Yeah.
I have a lot more fun with this movie.
This movie is fun.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt my soul.
This is one of my favorite Western movies of all time. Like even before today, I've seen this movie more times than I can count.
Yeah.
Same.
It was one of those movies, every time it was on TV, I would watch it.
I don't
Same.
want to be that guy, so I'm just gonna bow out and let you guys jerk each other off. For
No,
this
talk
movie.
about it. Do it. Because I actually agree with what you're gonna say.
It's fun. It is. This is a fun movie, but this movie is really bad.
No,
Like-
I
Oh, I don't know
recognize
about
that it's
It-
kind of campy.
Bad's probably not the
No,
right way to put it.
Bad's the wrong word.
For me, compared to the westerns that we just watched, like this movie's not a western.
That was the
Yeah,
part
no.
that I was gonna agree with. Because it's not shot like a western. It doesn't. The setting is western.
yeah.
The dialogue isn't really western.
No,
The
there's so much modern dialogue in this movie.
yeah.
Yeah. We're also not 80 years old when we're watching the movie, so I think that's what most old westerns were shot for, Grandpa. So there you go.
Hey,
He did just hurt his elbow moving the cat.
Which I
Yeah.
feel like is also a good
Like
point. Like
this.
I didn't watch a lot of westerns growing up. This is about
You've
as
got
far
fucking
into it.
cowboy hats.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
like,
but he's
I went to
like-
a rural school.
but yeah. So okay, so bad's the wrong word because I had fun.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I don't. It doesn't feel like a western really at any point.
Right.
I would agree with that. Even though I said it was my favorite western, I would agree that it's not like a classic western.
I
Yeah.
do love Sam Raimi, and I don't know if he means to do it, but like this movie definitely to me felt more like a parody of a western than an actual western. I even asked you when we were watching it. I was
Yeah.
like, so he was. Then you told me he didn't write the script, but I envisioned whoever was writing the script as just being like, okay, so there's a tournament, right? And what do we do with tournaments? We take an archetype of as many characters as we can, and we just put them in the tournament and have them fight each other.
It's Western Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Russell.
it really is. And I love that about it. That's awesome, and that's what makes it so much fun. Not to mention, but I can't tell you how many fucking times I laughed.
Yeah.
Like, I laughed damn near through this entire movie.
I was
and-
grinning ear to ear the whole fucking time. I fucking
Yeah.
love this movie.
And some of the one-liners are cheesy, and they're like, that's the most Western thing about the movie is like
Yeah.
some of the one-liners, but they're delivered.
Oh, you're pretty.
Yeah.
You're not. Somebody else was supposed to say that. But
She-
good
she-
job, guys.
Throws him the badge.
Yeah.
She's like, the law's back in town.
Yeah.
And like it's just delivered so goofily.
Also, right after that, they cue in the music.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think the only scene that I really didn't enjoy in this whole movie was her leaving and then like boo-hooing up at the cemetery.
Yeah, there's a few choice scenes that I thought were really weird. That being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The whole climax of the film I didn't really understand, but
In what way?
like they were like, where do we put explosions? Oh, let's have her like fake die, and then she like blows stuff up. So like, why didn't she just go kill him? Like, why didn't anyone literally just go kill him?
Because they're all cowards.
She tried to, like halfway through the movie. That's what she went there to do, and then she chickened out.
Yeah, and then she got scared and she left.
Yeah.
So then she just like
He's an
she's-
intimidating presence. That's the only reason he's in charge is because he has that intimidating presence.
yeah.
Dog, he rolled a
get that.
20.
For sure.
Let me
He
put
did
it in
definitely
terms
roll a
again.
20.
Okay.
Okay, I got it.
And
He
he's got a
rolled
plus 20. Like,
rolled
motherfucker's
two.
rolling on like a 40.
Because he bluffed too.
Yeah.
Because he was like, "Hey, check my matchbook or my match
Yeah.
case is a gun." Click.
Which I'm actually really glad you explained that to me during the movie
Yeah.
because every other time I've seen this, I thought that was like her dad's.
Where did you get that from?
I don't know.
Okay.
But they also like draw out that whole thing with her dad so much that I just keep
Yeah.
referencing back to that.
Well, I liked. Okay, so I know Russell probably hated that. But the one thing that I did like about that was that it was like a slow reveal. So like they kept going back to it because they were trying to be like, "Oh, this terrible thing happened and Herod was part of it."
Right.
right.
And then it's like, "Oh, well, he did the same thing that he was trying to do to Court."
Mhm.
And then at the end, you're like, "Oh shit, she accidentally shot her dad, son of a bitch. This dude needs to die." So it's kind of like it's stringing it along because you're needing to be fed more and more details about it as you go along. It could have been done better, for sure.
So maybe if it was my first time watching it, I might appreciate that more. But like this time, I just thought like from my memory of the movie, that was all just one big scene.
Right.
I didn't remember that they just kept cutting back to it and
Right.
slow rolling it out.
Yeah, and that does kind of like cut down on the rewatchability of the movie because you're like, I already know this. I don't need to see this part again.
But
yeah.
I do like the other flashbacks they do, but they don't actually do them as flashbacks. They just talk about it through dialogue. Like the
Right.
story of Court killing the preacher.
Yeah.
I really like how that's done because, like, as he's telling the story, I could just visualize all that
Right.
in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just good
And
dialogue.
That's when it's usually done really well. So like, I mean, it's flashback. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here.
Yep.
Flashback Man.
So
Tonight
So-
on Russell Hates Flashbacks. Are we-
Yay.
This time, is he actually going to talk about how he hates it, or is he going to be like, well, this one's okay?
You got 50-50 odds.
No, he hates it.
okay, so I'm torn. Right? Because and the reason being, so like I don't like the first couple flashbacks. So if we're progressing through the movie and I'm talking about it as I'm watching it, I
Right.
don't like the first couple flashbacks. They're weird, they're jarring, they like take me out of the movie. But then we get to the last flashback, which I understand how hard it is going to be to like emphasize exactly what happened
Right.
because she accidentally shoots her dad in the head.
Yep.
Right.
So like, what's the best way to make the audience feel that? They need to see that. I get that. But they they just have this eye contact and then it flashes back as if they're both having this like simultaneous memory of something triggering it. And
Mhm.
then she later throws the Marshall badge down.
Yeah. Because
After
he
the
still has no
flashback.
idea who she is.
I think if she would have thrown the badge or had that whole scene been set up a little bit better where the thing triggered them both having the flashback and we're watching like a simultaneous memory trip. I also don't think you needed the other flashbacks earlier in the movie. Like you
Yeah.
could have just done without it and then like the whole time you're like, well, what the fuck, who is this? And then you catch the parallel on your second watch through
With her shooting Court down.
with her in court. Yeah, because then it's a big deal. Because like I'm watching it the first time and the flashbacks don't really even indicate that. Like I didn't
No.
get that until more or less Shane said it. So like if I watched it a second time, I'm gonna pick up on that and be like, oh shit, there's this whole parallel between her dad and Court, and that's awesome.
It's also why she was like so panicked when he got strung up in exactly the same way.
Yeah.
And she like freaks the fuck out over this guy she doesn't even know.
Yeah, which the entire movie, I'm like, why the fuck does she care about him? I bet she knows him. And at first, I was like, I thought it was going to lead into a whole, oh, by the way, this is my first full time watching this movie, in case no one picked up on that. I thought it was going to lead into like maybe he was there with Gene Hackman when he ransacked her village or town or whatever.
Yeah.
And he was like nice to her. So he was like, hey, get out of here. I thought there was going to be that whole shtick, and then that was why she like cared about him, which I'm glad they didn't do because I
Right.
like the parallel better. But I just don't think that you needed the first couple of flashbacks because they were just weird, and then I think the last flashback could have been set up better.
I agree.
Do you have an opinion on this, Nathan?
I mean, Russell's wrong.
Okay.
Because, I mean,
Shit.
they basically queue up Russell Crowe to look exactly like Gary Sinise with the same haircut and the same style. And when they're going through the whole, like, him shooting the chair out and everything like that at the beginning, you see that it's kind of, like, cruel and, like, fucking badass of him.
Mhm.
And then when you cut back to those cut scenes, he's doing the exact same thing because that's his thing. And then you finally understand what her character arc is and the revenge story that's taking place.
Yeah, and you also see it like how much it fucking bothers her when he's doing it in the beginning of the movie to Court, because like she doesn't know anything about Court yet.
No.
So she hasn't decided, like towards the middle of the movie, she decides like she doesn't like him and that he deserves to die, whatever happens to him, because he killed, he's also a bad man. Right. But before that, she has no idea who he is. So when she sees him strung up in the saloon and he's shooting the chair, she's having the flashback.
Right.
So it could have been better to have it then.
No, I like
But-
drawing it out.
Okay. So here's my proposition to fix this. I know you don't have a problem with it. I don't really have a problem with it either. But
I don't believe in trying to fix everything.
this also presents a problem, because the way that I'm thinking about this, we would have to change Sharon Stone to a guy, or it wouldn't be a reveal, because you would automatically know that it was her. But okay, so let me explain it. You do it like Guardians of the Galaxy 2,
There it is.
where it's the flashback is before the credits roll at the beginning.
Right.
The whole flashback. Right.
The whole flashback.
Right. So you have the whole flashback at the beginning of the movie. Okay? And you don't know what the fuck is going on. You just have the flashback. Exactly how it is. And then you have the beginning of the movie after the credit roll. So then, she rides up on the other guy and stuff, and she goes into the town. And she never says anything about being the girl until, and you take out the weepy fucking cemetery thing too, and her leaving town. Fuck that part.
Yeah.
She just already has the fucking Marshall Star. So then when she faces down with Herod, she throws the star out, and you're like, oh shit. But you would automatically know, since she was a girl.
So you'd want him
So,
to
like-
Mulan her?
You could,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, you could Mulan her, but
You keep the same thing that you're talking about. You do the flashback at the beginning, but then you do the whole movie literally from Court's perspective.
or you could do that
about
too.
Court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of females in there that
Yeah,
you could
so you
think in your mind are that character, but
Right.
they're
Red
not. You
herring.
still keep
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharon Stone.
I think that would be a better movie. I still think this is good.
You
and it was
could-
definitely super entertaining.
You could also make her androgynous, so you
Yeah.
don't know if it's a little boy or a little
Yeah.
girl. And then you could
When
also
it's
have
kid.
Sharon Stone, and then to throw them off, you could have Sharon Stone play the mom as well. And so the mom's on the side watching it happen.
Yeah.
So you just think that it's the mom, and then you find out that
She looks
it's the
just like her
girl. Or
mom.
yeah, there's a lot that you could do with that.
There's a lot of ways you could do it. I retract my statement that you need to change her to a guy. It just looking at it simply.
Yeah.
You need to
It
make
would
it
be
not as
easier.
obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
that's what I was going for.
I think Nathan has the best way.
Yeah,
to
he
do
has a
that
good way of
by
doing that.
by
I
using
like
Court.
it, Nathan.
And then you can still bill Sharon Stone as the lead female character. You're just having her and Russell Crowe share literally the same spotlight.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing Sharon Stone's reactions, you're seeing Russell Crowe's.
Right.
What's the difference about being the lead character or being the more important character? I don't see.
Ego.
Nah.
I mean, I think it would have made a better movie.
I'd rather be the better character in the movie
Yeah.
than get that lead role pat
Yeah.
on the back. That's why Batista's the best character in Guardians of the Galaxy, right?
Well, I didn't see him a lot of it because he stood so terribly still.
Yeah, he's invisible.
Yeah.
I was mostly trying to poke at you.
I didn't see Batista in this movie at all.
It's because he
Take
Guardians
didn't
of the
move.
Galaxy, yeah.
Wait, why were you poking fun at me about Batista?
Oh, just throwing some comic book stuff in there.
Oh, okay.
You made a Guardians reference, and I was
I
going
did.
back on that.
Okay. I mean, I like Batista. I think he's like probably the second best wrestler actor behind The
Hulk
Rock.
Hogan.
No, we talked about this the first time we talked about that. Not
Radical
Hulk
Viper.
Hogan.
Have you guys
John
not seen
Cena.
Blade Trinity? I mean, Triple H. Come on.
Yeah.
No, John Cena.
You can't
13
see him
rounds,
in
you
anything.
get-
Yeah, what the fuck? You
Yeah.
can't see him in anything anyway.
It's just really bad green screen.
John Cena in The Inconceivable Adventures of Invisible Man.
Just looks like Darkman. He's like wrapped up the whole time. So Russell started talking about it. I want to ask you, Cory, how much Sam Raimi stuff have you seen or do you know?
I don't know. I haven't really paid much attention to directors. Honestly, I didn't even know this was Sam Raimi until today.
Okay. So I mean, you saw the first three Spider-Man movies with Tobey Maguire, right?
Yep, I've
Those
seen
are
all
Sam
of
Raimi
those.
movies.
Did
Did you see Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness?
I've seen parts of Army of Darkness, but I've never seen it all the way through. And then I've never seen any of the Evil Dead movies. Mostly because I
Oh,
thought
boy.
they were horror movies. I didn't realize what they were.
Well, I mean,
Yeah, but
they
they're not
are,
as
but
like.
they're not.
Evil Dead 1, they were trying to make a horror movie. They were just real bad at it. It's like the unintentional camp,
Mm,
and then they leaned into the camp
I see.
afterwards.
Yeah, so like I watched Army of Darkness and I didn't realize that the other two movies set that up.
Yeah.
And like if I would have known that, I probably would have watched them by now.
Okay.
But since then I've just never had a chance to, like, I've never seen them on, and I still haven't seen Army of Darkness all the way through.
Did you watch Oz the Great and Powerful with James Franco?
Yeah, I saw that.
That
That
was Sam Raimi.
That was okay.
Did you watch Drag Me to Hell?
No.
Okay.
Did you?
Drag Me to Hell?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Drag Me to Hell is one of my favorite horror films.
Yeah, I actually really like
I
that.
fucking love that movie.
I think Sam Raimi with the right movie is an excellent director because like I like a lot of the things because he has a very particular style in like the cinematography.
Yeah, he does.
Like all those like zooming in close-ups that like smash cut to a different zooming in close-up.
Mm.
That's 100% Sam Raimi shit. Like I don't know where he got it, but
That's his thing.
that's his fucking thing.
It's his bread and butter.
Yeah, that's one of them.
And the Dutch angles.
The Dutch angles.
Yeah.
Another trademark is that you have two characters who are facing each other, and they're having a conversation or a stare down. We've seen it a lot in this movie.
Mhm.
And instead of like cutting back and forth, the camera quick pans across the landscape between them.
Yeah.
Not to see the landscape, what's in between them, but the pan out, the wide shot of the landscape, as if one character turned their head to the left
yeah,
or
it's
something.
like you're watching them talk, and
I
you know
see.
I'm looking at you over here to my left, and
yeah.
you're talking, and then Russell is about to start a line, so I just swing my head over to the
Quick
right.
blur to the other character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I really love Sam Raimi as a director. I do think the script has to be right.
Yeah,
And you know the movie and the cast has to be right. And so I actually just seen he did For the Love of the Game.
really.
Yeah, and so now I want to go back and rewatch that movie because that was already one of my favorite baseball movies or one of my favorite sports movies.
Yeah,
But I don't remember
no,
the directing style in that.
no.
And then most of our audience, of course, is going to know Sam Raimi from Spider-Man 1 through 3.
Yeah, I mean, those he didn't do some of his stuff all the time. The biggest like classic Sam Raimi scene out of the three is the fucking the Doc Ock scene.
Yes.
when he first gets the arms fused to him and he's like in the hospital and like the arms just come to life and start fucking killing people. That is classic Sam Raimi. And I mean, it was full tilt this whole fucking movie.
Yeah, no, he just was
It
like
was going ham.
so everything makes sense too. Once Cory said, well, when Sam Raimi came on, they fast tracked it. Like that makes so much sense because he also showed up and they were like, "Hey man, whatever you want to do with this, just do it." And he was just like, "Wait, whatever I want to do with it?"
Wait.
So, and then he just went fucking ham.
Yeah. No, he went full bore on this.
So, at the risk of making myself look like an idiot, I confused Sam Raimi with Harold Ramis.
Okay.
And I was like, the guy from Ghostbusters?
I mean, he also directed, I believe. He also did some
yeah,
writing.
director
Yeah, he
and
did.
writer. But yeah, so I was like, is that this? No, but they're not the same guy
I
at
think
all.
when I first
God
heard
damn it,
of
Egon.
That's who I was picturing the whole time. But
I think
yeah.
when I first heard of them, of like when I first knew their names, I thought they were related. Like when I was in middle school, because I think that was when I first saw Evil Dead. Because my brother-in-law, he's a listener. Jim, what's up?
shout
Hi,
out,
Jim.
Shout out.
He's working his way through the Marvel movies right now. But he showed me Evil Dead and maybe I think he showed me all three of them. Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness.
Oh, okay. So my mom was like, "Don't watch these Evil Dead movies." But here's Army of Darkness. And I was like, "What?" And then I watched it Because, like, I mean, Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2, like, there's more horror elements than there are in Army of Darkness.
So wait, hold on. Before we get super into these movies, we're gonna do these, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Am I
yeah,
gonna
we
be
should.
on those just so I can see them?
Yes.
Yeah. So then I watched Army of Darkness and was like, oh my god, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Because there's like a couple scary parts, I guess. That
Good, bad. I'm the guy with the gun.
yeah, like there's like a couple, quote unquote scary parts.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's just a really like an adventure fucking medieval movie.
Yeah, basically.
And so I've always been obsessed with like, okay, well, who wrote this? Who directed it? Like since I was like 10, 11, 12,
Right.
like really young. And so the reason I've always known his name is because I was like, well, what else did he do?
Yeah.
So I remember going to Blockbuster and yeah, that's right, Blockbuster.
Shout out.
And shout
We
out to
keep
Blockbuster.
talking about. I was going through and editing fucking Blade Runner, and we talked for like 20 minutes about video stores. Just like, yeah.
So
Fucking, we're old.
yep. I remember going to Blockbuster and looking through the movies, like flipping the movie over, looking for Sam Raimi's name, and then I came across Darkman.
Ooh, yeah, Liam Neeson.
Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And then I was like, Mom, can I get this? And she's like, sure. She didn't really look at it. I
Oh,
was like,
shit.
it's this guy. And then I watched it and I was like, I don't think she'd want me watching this.
No. Nope.
But I loved it. It was one of my favorite movies as a preteen.
Darkman was awesome. I don't think any of the other ones were very good. Liam Neeson got replaced by the guy from The Mummy.
Brendan Fraser?
Not that one.
No.
The
the guy
Mummy.
that plays. The guy that looks
play
like
that-
Billy Zane.
Yeah, the guy that plays Imhotep.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
IMDb.
Billy Zane.
No. Oh, Arnold Vosloo.
Yeah.
Vosloo.
That's his name. I knew that.
Duh.
Didn't.
Which stands for Billy Zane.
Yeah. Exactly. You're right. You're right, Nathan. Good job.
Thank you.
But yeah,
So I'm actually curious how, when I was going through movies looking for Sam Raimi's name, how I didn't come across The Quick and the Dead. And I always remember this movie being on TNT,
mm-hmm.
like every other week. They just played this movie on TNT.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it a lot.
And like every time it'd come on, I would like watch 2 minutes of it and then I would change it. I like go find something else to watch. Probably The
fuck is
Simpsons
wrong
or
with you?
whatever. I don't know. I mean, like I said, it was fun. I don't super love it, but
Yeah.
I won't watch it again. I don't know that I would.
You say that about every fucking movie, though.
I say that about a lot of movies.
10 out of 10, never gonna watch it again. It's the best movie ever. Fuck this. I'm not watching it again.
What is this fucking asshole's problem?
I mean, we've ruined like 4 episodes
You're my
of his.
favorite
so-
guest you've ever been on this podcast. I want to thank you for being here.
Listen, I've listened to all your bullshit podcasts. I know what's up.
You listen to all the podcasts or just these
Well,
particular DQP ones?
DQP.
Oh, okay.
Oh shit!
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
You
We're having it out.
shit straight, brother. Yeah.
Oh no!
Talk about cowboy hats.
We got a fucking
I'll
guest.
tell you about cowboy hats, man.
We got another guest.
They come in different colors, like neon green and yellow and pink, man. You don't have any idea.
You know, the more and more I keep hearing, the more I think I'm gonna try Crimson Ring.
That's right. Yeah.
Like I don't give a shit about wrestling at all, but like you guys crack me up.
Dude, neither does Barry, and he's like, I listen to the Crimson Ring almost every week.
And you can find us on the DQP Podcast Network. We release on Thursdays or Fridays, or if fucking Russell remembers.
I always remember
SoundCloud, Podbean,
Thursday
iTunes.
or Friday.
You tunes, we tunes, we all tunes. Thank you very much. Shout out to Doug.
What up, Doug? Wow.
Yeah, I
Somebody
mean,
should call Amtrak because we are.
off the
I'm
rails.
not making that joke. Doug just made that joke 2 weeks ago.
What? God damn
Edit
it!
that.
Another
You
reference to
son
the
of a
Crimson
bitch.
Ring Podcast. Thank you very much for showing up tonight.
I was like, why does this sound so familiar?
Doug, he's stealing
it.
jokes.
You need to get in here and kick his ass. Where's the squirrely D?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I love that fucking shark. Holy shit. So far off. All right. We've talked about the cast. We've talked about a lot of stuff on this movie.
Shane,
I'm going to talk about what
what'd you
I'm supposed
think
to talk about.
about the effects?
Jesus Christ. I mean, the town looked pretty good.
I mean, that was all built.
Yeah, practical fucking effects.
Explosions looked pretty good too.
Yeah, practical effects.
Yeah, so maybe try shooting people in the head next time.
Yeah, try shooting people, actually shooting your actors in the face, so you know what a bullet wound looks like, or how getting shot in the head affects a body. I'm pretty sure it doesn't flip them like they got grabbed by the big toe and fucking like slung up by one of those fucking slingshot
Ragdoll.
rides. Jesus Christ.
Who have you shot?
It does not look like that.
Who have you shot?
I'm not going to tell you.
Nobody.
My biggest problem
Sure.
with that was just the inconsistency within the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's inconsistent in the movie.
Like there's the one dude that has the big old hole in his head.
Yeah,
Then there's
Keith
another
David.
dude that gets just a red dot on his head after he gets shot in the head.
Spotted horse.
Spotted horse.
Yep.
Yeah, he just gets just a red paint spot on his forehead. And then they go back to the hole
Yep.
after Gene Hackman's character gets his eye shot out.
Yeah, he gets a bigger hole in his head. But he also like does a weird backwards flip.
Uh-huh.
He flips. Okay, he gets shot from the front in the head, and he flips face down.
He does like
he
a
did
whole
front flip.
a full fucking
And
flip.
lands on his face. That's not how physics works, guys. Your stunt coordinator needs fired. Maybe your makeup guy too. Although Russell did want to comment on how consistent some of the like random wounds that characters that lived
Yeah.
continued to carry, such as Court's like knuckle problems because his knuckles were busted and he had like the rope burns on his wrists and stuff. The
Yeah.
whole movie.
It all looked goofy, but it was at least consistently
Consistent, yeah.
goofy.
Oh my god, yeah, that was pretty bad.
Also the daylight shining through the
I always liked that particular thing. I always liked, but like,
every time
but like a fucking like 4-inch hole in somebody's head that's the same size from the front to the back, with like whatever a 38 special or a 45 long Colt, whatever. It's not how guns work. They're not a post hole digger. Anyway,
Hey, I got a shortcut on how we put this fence in.
just fucking shoot the
Blow
ground.
the ground out with this gun.
Oh my god. Let's get to ratings.
Well, hold on.
Oh no,
I
you have another point.
Yeah. It's not a major point, but it's just like a fun fact I looked up while we
Okay.
were watching the movie.
Yeah.
So they talk about the purse for the tournament.
Yeah.
It's a $123,000 from Wells Fargo.
Well, from Herod and Wells Fargo.
Yeah. So I went and did the conversion rate.
Okay.
So in 1881 is when the movie takes place. $123,000 is equivalent to $3,088,783.24 in 2019 currency.
How many people were in that tournament? 16?
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
I'd kill 8 people for $3 million.
Yeah. And I think that's like a good
Not really.
thing to put into perspective as to why people are willing to risk their lives, at least.
Some good zingers here. Yes.
You're just so nonchalant, like, oh shit, I said that on a recording. But anyway, so I wanted to bring up, like, these people are just kind of out in the street, like, shooting each other, like, gonna die at any time and living their life that way.
Mhm.
And not we do get with Leonardo DiCaprio's, I did like the turn of his character.
Yes.
Because that's definitely one of the best scenes, and it's damn near the only scene he didn't take liberty with, like, making goofy.
Mhm.
Which I honestly wonder if he knows the way he cuts stuff is kind of goofy, because if he doesn't and it's offensive, then like, like, I'm sorry, but I hope he knows that that's what he does. So he doesn't take liberty with that scene, and that's a really good scene. And Leonardo DiCaprio's character even says he takes most of the movie to say it, but he does say, I just want his respect.
Right.
Talking about his
Yeah.
dad, which is Gene Hackman, supposedly. Which Gene Hackman continues to be the most heinous character in the movie when he says, it was never really proven that he's my son. But he's getting choked up.
He was remorseful in
Yeah.
that moment, and it
It
added
was-
a level of humanity to his character.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I appreciated the entire time he's just telling the kid to get out. And at first he's like being as shitty as he always was.
Uh-huh.
And then in this last moment, right before this fight, he's like, bow out. There's no shame in it. You've proven yourself.
Yeah.
He
Get the
didn't
fuck
like,
out
he didn't,
before
yeah,
you die.
yeah, he didn't quite say, like, I respect you as a man, but I don't want to kill you. But that's sort of what he was saying.
Yeah. And so you get that scene with Leonardo DiCaprio when he gets shot in the guts, and he knows it's over. Like, his gut shot in the
Death
1800s,
sentence.
like, you're done.
Yeah, there's no pooping in bags back then.
Yeah. And so that whole scene's really good. I'm glad that was there. I'm glad where it was placed. I thought the placement for it was perfect.
Mhm.
And then, but you have all these characters, and they're just kind of like, I'm gonna die like anytime now.
Right.
Like, just death is like there constantly at the doorstep. And to think about, like, we don't really live like that as a society now.
Yeah.
So we have doctors, and we go to the doctor on a regular basis, try to stave off death for as long as possible. So to watch a movie where like these characters are just, and this is even different, so because I don't know if it's just recklessness with the writing, because in Unforgiven there was a lot of like staving off death and being aware that you're going
Right.
to die, and usually that's a huge deal in westerns, because
Right.
that's a big thing that you have to deal with when you're in a gunfight. Like, you can't be afraid of dying because that's going to get you killed, but you also can't be too aware.
Cavalier.
Yeah, you can't be cavalier about it because that's also going to get you killed. There has to be this nice balance where,
You have to have a healthy respect for it.
yeah, and so that was one of the things I didn't like about the movie, was that none of these characters really, like, except for Leo's character, like, all
Because
the other
most of
characters
them
were
are-
just kind of,
Most of them are caricatures.
yeah, they are. They're
They don't
they're
have a whole lot of
caricatures.
depth.
Yeah. So
I mean,
they're
I
just
would
kinda
say-
like, I'm gonna die.
There's a few of them that, like, they face death and they're just willingly accepting it. And then there's, like, the spotted horse character who honestly didn't think he could die.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a
And-
few different people looking at
the
it. in different
pervert didn't
ways.
want to die.
Yeah, he groveled for his life at the
Ace
end.
didn't want to die.
Yeah. Well, Ace's face when he finds out that
He's been had.
he's been had was really good. But I would have liked Russell Crowe's character a lot more had he died during the first gunfight. Had he not drawn the gun, had he just been like, okay, this is it. This is where I go down. Like, I'm not fighting, and like stuck to his word. I would have enjoyed that character a lot more, which is what I thought was
For
going to happen.
The brief amount of time you would have had him.
Yeah, but he would have been like a fucking staple in the movie, and I'd have
A
been like, fuck
statement.
yeah. Yeah, a statement.
Meh. I disagree, but I see where you're coming from.
Well, it's also, I mean, what kind of movie are we writing? Like,
Yeah.
it's a fun adventure flick,
Yeah.
essentially, and I want everything to be a deep melodrama. So
Yeah, I know. This podcast is gonna get weird when we stop watching like movies that can be dissected in that way. You got any other things
No.
you wanted to get to?
That was the big one. The original book was written by Louis L'Amour. He's a pretty big Western writer.
Louis.
Louis L'Amour. Thank you.
Yep. Is that's the old one?
The book that all this is based off of.
No, but I think that's the original movie, the 87 movie. Is it this movie too? Or is it not the 87 movie? I thought it was the 87 movie that was based on the Louis L'Amour novel.
Well, okay, so the way it was worded is this is based off of the old movie, and the old movie is based off of the book. Even
Okay.
though this has absolutely nothing to do with either of them, it's just kind of a Western set. And
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Sam Elliott was in a bunch of Louis L'Amour movies. There was one that we talked about in one of the Western podcasts. I can't remember.
Did you guys do any John Wayne?
No. That's going to be a separate thing if we do any John Wayne.
Oh, okay.
We wanted to do specifically like 90s stuff.
Oh, I see.
So,
Yeah, I was wondering how you guys did a Western section and ended up on this one.
yeah. I mean, there were other things we could have chosen, but we kind of felt like they fell in with other movies better than they fell in with the other two we watched.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and get to ratings. I'm going to go first on this one. I'm going to give it a 7. I think it has a fantastic cast. It's a lot of fun. There's a couple scenes that I don't like, and I feel like the flashback structure could have been better. And the lack of depth in a lot of the characters. I mean, I don't know that it's trying to be that kind of movie. There are a couple of parts that feel that way, specifically, when Sharon Stone is having this long, deep conversation with Gene Hackman. Those characters had a lot of development. The kid had some, Court had some, and then like no one else did. So I think this movie's a lot of fun. It's a good watch, but it's not like the best movie ever, and it's not the best Western ever. And I have problems with gun physics in everything ever. So, that's a thing.
So let's watch John Wick.
I mean, they still stylize stuff, but the like gun foo in that is pretty good. Russell, what do you think?
So I had a lot of fun watching this movie. There's a large entertainment value, I think, for watching it one time through, especially if you're not overcritical of things. I could see enjoying this movie even a lot more. I also understand why it was on damn near every Sunday on TNT all the time.
Yeah.
Because once you've watched it, you can really probably pick it up anywhere and just like watch it from there. And
Right.
just like, or have it on in the background or ignore it, or, it's not really my kind of movie. I felt like there was a lot of depth that they could have added. I was excited when we seen an hour and 44-minute tag at the beginning on the length of the movie, and then I was kind of confused as we kept watching it. But as many characters as they were trying to build in the movie, I think is where most of the time allotment came from. But I'm going to give this movie a 6. Fun one-time watch. I don't know that I'm, ever going to watch it again.
Okay. All right, Cory, what do you think?
Would recommend. I think if you have a streaming service and it's on there, you should watch it. No, I really like this movie. I think it's kind of telling for me because I tend to like a lot of like really campy movies like this. So for me personally, I would give this movie like an 8 because I really enjoy it every single time I watch it.
Yeah.
But like for your average moviegoer, it's probably closer to like a 6 or a 7.
Rate it how you want.
So yeah, for me personally, I give it an
Yeah.
8. But I think if you're wanting to be critical of it as a movie standalone, it's probably a little lower than that.
Okay. Yeah, because we're like, me and Russell try to be like really critical of them and like talk about character development and act like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But like if you think it's an 8, it's a fucking 8 for you.
Yeah,
Give it a fucking 8.
But yeah, I also recognize that I sometimes like really bad movies.
Yeah.
And
I'm right there with you sometimes. I mean, there's some shit movies that I've watched and I was horribly amused by.
yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of those.
And this is just one of those movies that, like, literally every time it's on, I watch it and I enjoy it. And I really like this movie.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it to anybody.
I mean, you brought fucking cowboy hats.
Yeah, that was
You
my
were
favorite part of the
stoked.
night.
He was stoked to watch this movie, Nathan.
I fucking love it so much.
Were you stoked to watch this movie, Nathan?
I like this movie.
All right.
I'm not gonna shit on it because I feel like there's more character development than what you're willing to look at. With the kid, we learned that cockiness doesn't really get you anywhere, and the guy was convinced that he could win, and that he was the son of Gene Hackman's character. Whether that's true or not, we really don't know.
Yeah.
With Cord's character, we learned that you can't get away from your past, and I like that he picked up the gun because he realized what he was.
Right.
And you can't run away from it. With Gene Hackman's character, well, he's a piece of shit, but he did have some remorse when killing the kid,
Yeah.
and we got to see a different side of that. But you don't want to show too much because he's still the villain of the movie.
Right.
And with Sharon Stone's character, we got a good combination for the 90s of sexiness
Mm-hmm.
and just being a badass,
Yeah.
but still vulnerable, and all the things that you get in a regular hero in your movie.
Right.
And I really enjoyed the part where she goes after Eugene's character
Mm-hmm.
for messing with a young girl. Like, that made you feel, like justice was served
Yes.
finally in a town. And
She blew his dick off.
the bartender was a piece of shit in that, and she needed to shoot him too, in my opinion. You're not
Yeah.
going to stand up for your
He was a
kid.
coward.
Shoot him. But whatever. I liked how it was done. I liked the flashbacks. I like how everything was kind of drawn out. It's not a movie that's going to keep you sat down for 2.5 hours. No. But it's a good quick watch. It's something fast.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of funny in some parts, but mostly just action. And that's what I like.
Fun action.
Yeah. So for me, I'm just going to give it a decent whiskey in a dirty glass. That's my rating.
All right.
Yeah.
Decent whiskey in a dirty glass. I feel
Yeah.
like I've had that before.
Yeah.
I mean, you drink here a lot.
Ah! You just put them back up in the
That's
cupboard.
when Russell does the dishes.
Well, no, I just meant like the
No, it's
dusty ass
cool.
glasses.
Yeah, we have dirty glasses here.
Okay.
we have,
No one
not
does
like
the dishes right
the
here. That's what
cabinet.
he's saying.
That's not what I meant at
That's-
all.
that's what I
Nathan
heard.
found a reason to be offended.
The
No,
drafty.
That's how
Edit.
you said
The
it.
dirty drafty.
Fuck Russell. Don't edit.
We use the edit joke too much.
That wasn't a joke. I really wanted you to edit all that. It's weird.
No. If
All right,
anything,
I'll
it's
edit
going to
this
be
one.
in the outtakes.
I mean,
Get
outtakes
fucked.
is
Put it
fine.
at the beginning.
Almost anything can go in the outtakes.
And Sharon Stone is 61
Pre-takes.
years old.
She's how old?
God dang.
61 years old.
Damn.
Leonardo DiCaprio is 44.
Yeah. He's getting up there.
And how old did he look in that movie?
Like
16.
16.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Corey.
He would have been like 28.
Let's see. I was
95?
born in 84. That movie came out in 95. I was 11.
He was 20.
So he's like 20, 21.
I'm bad at math.
Really?
It was 24 years ago.
Yeah.
If he's 44, he'd be 20.
Maybe 20.
He was coming off of growing pains, probably.
He did not look 20.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was.
Was that
on
a
growing
joke?
pains.
Oh, he was on growing pains?
Yeah.
I've never seen
He
it.
wasn't
no
one of
idea.
the kids. Like, he wasn't one of their kids. He was
He's
an
just like-
adopted kid that they
Okay.
got later on.
I had no idea he was.
Welcome to our new
growing pains.
podcast, Growing Up with Pains. That was a joke. No one laughed, so it wasn't funny.
Welcome to our sequel
Edit,
podcast,
edit, edit,
Getting
edit.
Old with Pains.
Yeah, my back hurts.
Shane can like edit some
Fuck you
laughter
guys.
and it'll all be funny.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, We need to start plugging our shit on this podcast because we don't ever get any emails or anything about it. So if you want to,
You're not edit. Like, you don't say that, dumbass.
I'm leaving it in. Fuck you. But not fuck everyone else that listens to this podcast. We love you guys, and we'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or if you have suggestions for movies, or we like to try to do series. Whether they're directly connected as sequels or trilogies or whatever, or if it's a theme that you've come up with, movies with neon lights constantly in them or something dumb like that, just shoot us your ideas at draftyq@gmail.com. Do we have Twitter for this show, or just the at draftyq?
Just at the draft at DraftyQ right now.
At the draft? No,
At
DraftyQ.
Yeah.
At DraftyQ on Twitter.
Also, check out Drafty Tunes if you want to see or hear more of me. If you want to hear more of me on this podcast, let them know at the email, at the Twitter. Try to get me on as many as possible.
He thinks he's still going to be. We're going to edit him completely out of this podcast. Go ahead and plug your show too.
No.
Okay.
Listen
I don't
to
need
the
to plug
Crimson
my
Ring.
show on this shitty ass podcast. We got 5 listeners. Thanks for listening, Barry.
Oh my God.
No,
I listen to your podcast too.
Thanks.
Yeah, you said 5.
Yeah, I'm 4 of them.
You listened to it 4 times?
No, I'm just that fat.
Oh. And if you're fat, you can listen to my podcast too, because I'm fat and we'll talk about fat guys wrestling.
Oh shit!
Not a bear podcast.
Heavy machinery. All right, well, that's gonna be it for this episode. That's gonna be it for this episode of DQP Does. Wait, do we have a theme for the next 3 episodes? Are we doing TMNT?
TMNT or I was gonna ask, do we want to do TMNT or do we want to do the Cornetto trilogy?
Ooh.
Let's do the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah, let's do the Cornetto
Okay.
trilogy.
All right, so next we're gonna do the Cornetto trilogy. If you don't know what that is, you're an asshole. Am I fast, or is Sweden just a very small place?
Cat's taking a shit right now.
Yeah.
At least she's washing her hands.
I was just gonna ignore it.
Yeah, I just feel like it's getting picked up, though.
Oh, it is.
The shit's getting picked up?
I mean, eventually, hopefully.
Before us.
Edit?
We're editing all this.
Yeah,
So, like, I was in the middle of the...
All right, can we talk about this? Say rural.
rural.
Say rural.
Rule.
That's not a word. Rural. 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 Rural.
Rural.
Rural.
Rural.
Jeez. What? I don't remember what the fuck we were on. What podcast we were on, and you kept saying rural, and I was like, "Is he talking about rural? What the fuck?"
No, you're rural.
Apparently, that's one of my accent quirks.
Okay.
Well,
I also say...
Your Central Indiana accent.
Yeah. I also say crown. Like a color in crown.
oh,
A crayon?
Crown?
Yeah, it's crown.
Crayon.
Yeah,
I mean, that's an over exaggeration. Crayon, but
yeah,
not
I say
crown.
color and crown.
Okay.
Welcome
box
to
of
our
crowns.
first edition of Words with Shane. If you would like him to be little you as well, please send in $5 and your phone number.
Shit, I'm getting a deal. This is free for me.
Yeah. He just had to drive over here and watch a fucking movie with us. A movie that he likes.
I don't even have to drive.
Yeah, you just got out of bed.
Yeah.
This has been a production of the Drafty Quarters Podcast Network.